and welcome to the CNBC-TV18 special. We're coming to you live from a very, very cold Davos. But joining me now to heat things up is our Oil and Gas and Urban Development Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. Mr. Puri, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here in Davos. Let me start by asking you about what your own assessment is of the mood on the global economy and then, of course, the mood on India.
I think if there is one thing on everybody's agreed, it is the India story, how it's resonating, and that is not just in the areas that I deal with. The fact that you can pull 250 million people out of abject poverty over a period of time, the fact that you can demonstrate that this is entirely the Honorable Prime Minister, that good governance is also good politics, and the fact that the growth, let's take energy, in the next 20 years, 25% of the growth in demand will come from India, from one country, which is more than the growth which is expected from all the developed countries put together. That is because of the special set of circumstances we find ourselves in. It's a $4 trillion economy, but a lot of developmental challenges. And when you raise the per capita income and it goes to, say, $15,000, what China is now, that's when, between now and then, that's when the major transformation. And I think the major transformation is on its way in all these areas, whether it's, affordable housing, whether it's doubling the number of airports, the increases in civil aviation, providing 40 million people in the economically weaker sections with homes, the fact that you have made this transition on biofuels very quickly, the fact that you are also going into the compressed biogas section, that is what is here. Look, let me be very clear. I should call myself an old-timer, if nothing else. I go back to these settings much before they were called the World Economic Forum.
Yes.
It used to be called the European Management Forum. And I have seen over a period of time, this is not a place for altruism and philanthropy. People will come here and take the -14. There may be some, unlike you and me, who really like the -14. I mean, I like snow, I like beautiful snow peaks, the lake, etc. But it is freezing cold, and it's going to get to -18 by the time we are through. I've dealt with -32 in Irkutsk, in Siberia. But people come here because they see an opportunity. And when they come here to seize an opportunity, they also focus on the themes, the countries where there is a potential. So every interaction I've had, from morning to evening, and this is not something that I'm saying, you just go to the walk around this promenade and you'll see that India resonating story there.
No, absolutely. We've been showcasing the India story on the promenade. But, let's talk about some of the global macroeconomic challenges as well as the geopolitical challenges and those impacts.
You mean the Red Sea?
The Red Sea, exactly. And we've seen what it's done to freight rates already, though, to be fair, oil prices haven't reacted, in any significant fashion to what is currently happening. But what's your own assessment, given the old-timer diplomatic, experience that you have as well on how this is expected to play out?
Shireen, I am cautiously optimistic. Any attempt at disrupting the supply lines in global commerce, whether it is in place X, Red Sea or elsewhere, is something that everyone should be concerned about. But having underlined the concern, I don't think it's something that we need to be too worried about. We're worried to the extent that non-state actors can challenge established sea routes is a serious matter. But I don't think anyone who's seriously involved in this game, I mean the countries, the state system, wants an conflagration, they want an exacerbation of the situation in terms of all-out war. So I am hoping, and my analysis of the trends shows that one should be cautiously optimistic. And I think the world, or that part of the world, was not ready for the kind of changes that were being contemplated. If you find two large countries, wedded to Islam, but one Sunni, one Shia, suddenly an announcement is made. Some non-state actors acted whether on their own or with a little bit of support, I don't know. But it could have been much worse, and I think wiser counsels will prevail, and hopefully in the next few days, etc., we will make sure that all the people, and everybody is trying to do that, that comes under the jurisdiction of others who are directly in responsible for foreign and security affairs, including the regional players, including the global players. I think everybody's talking, and I think we will be hopefully seeing calmer waters. Insofar as impact on India is concerned, you raise a very important point that the oil price is not going up. Well, two important changes which have taken place. I think the advent of electric vehicles and the increase in biofuels, these are, in terms of perception, telling people that, look, no matter whether you cut production, I mean, ultimately global production used to be 105 barrels, 105 million, 103 million barrels a day. They cut it by 5 million barrels a day. Now, that didn't change the prices. But there is also another issue. This is a major economy in the world which, is causing concern in terms of its ability to, sustain those rates of growth. One will never be able to make a precise determination as to which factor, what is the main causation for what. But I think the markets are adjusting all that. And today, even the new players who are coming, look, we have diversified our sources of import from 27 to 39. Our rate of growth of imports from the United States has been 1,300%. We import $20 billion of oil from them. Our oil companies, oil marketing companies are pretty clear. They will float a tender for supply at the port of importation, and we buy from the cheapest source. So I think there's enough oil available in the world. It's only a question of managing this between the producers and the consumers and all the other stakeholders.
Speaking about managing as well as speaking about talks, the Prime Minister had a conversation with President Putin just yesterday.
And very, very positive feedback that is now available in the public domain.
Yes, and so in the context of India importing large quantities of Russian crude, do you believe that that arrangement is now sustainably in place?
These import arrangements, as I said, we will float tenders and we'll buy from wherever it's available. Don't forget that up till about February of 2022, all that we imported from the Russian Federation was less than 0.2%. Then it went up, suddenly came down. Look, it keeps altering, but I think the important thing is that's a valued relationship. That's a relationship which we responded to at that point of time in a very, very positive, pragmatic way. Today the world is thanking us for buying Russian oil, because otherwise we would have been focusing on buying the oil from those countries, and oil price would have gone up to 250. So India, through its pragmatic policies, has actually helped calm the market, and I think we're getting credit for that.
Well, speaking about the oil marketing companies, two issues that I want to discuss with you. One, of course, the possibility at this point in time, given the volatile environment that we're seeing, or not volatile, but uncertain environment that we're seeing, is the case for a cut at the pump level pushed back?
Look, I'll tell you what. As far as I know, India, apart from Japan, is the only country in the world where over a 2-year period, prices of petrol and diesel at the bunk came down. It's the only country. Now, if situation remains like this, and let's say the price is not 78 or 79, but it's closer to 72, and the kind of disruptions we were talking about earlier in terms of vulnerability to crude oil, I think that would be a legitimate question. But just now, I think the oil companies were able, as good corporate citizens, to keep their prices low, but they incurred heavy losses also. So, I mean, out of the 28,000 crores on gas, we compensated them for 22,000 crores.
Yeah.
And on the other one, also the equity payment, etc. So they have had under-recoveries. So, but I mean, if it price comes down to 72 or less than that, surely that would be a legitimate question.
Is that the threshold? Is 72
no,
the threshold?
70, I'm only talking because it's been wavering between 72 and 70.
Yeah.
My threshold should be 35.
No, but realistically, if on a sustainable basis...
Yeah, I know. There would be people who will say, and because, a lot of people, we cut our revenue, BJP states cut their VAT. But today we have to look at how this plays out, and then we can go forward.
So you don't believe that a cut is imminent at this point in time?
No, I don't speculate on the imminence or otherwise of a cut, and certainly not through the press, because that's not my call.
But on OMCs, in terms of CapEx...
There's still got under-recoveries on diesel.
There are under-recoveries on diesel, you're right about that. As far as OMCs are concerned, and CapEx as well as fund infusion from one OMC to another, is there likely to be any recalibrating, any redrawing?
They do that all the time. They do that all the time. And we would encourage them to You know, the oil companies put together, I think, produce 23% of the government's revenues. I mean, so that's a very big contribution. So they will have the freedom to act, and they're good corporate citizens. So I'm very happy that they are doing this.
You know, now let me address your other ministry,
Yes.
because there is a big expectation and a hope that ahead of the elections, perhaps as early as the interim budget, we could see some announcements coming in on housing.
Well, I'm sure that there have been talk of announcements. There's been talk about a revised version of a interest subvention, a credit-linked subsidy. There's been talk, and there has been. I will not. When it comes, it's not my call. Whether it comes
But
there
is the
or later.
proposal finalized at your end?
Well, no. I think a lot of discussion has gone into it. I think they're talking about different permutations, but it's not my job to speculate on that. Yeah.
Not your job to speculate, but you've sent in a final proposal.
No, it's not me. It's a constant interactive process. Yes, it's been talked about. Yeah.
Okay. Let's then address what you think is going to play out in the next few months in terms of both priorities as well as the challenges that you believe we're going to have to cope with.
No, look, in terms of priorities, you've got fairly well-defined schemes which came out post-June 2015. They're nearing maturation. But, you know, after 10 years, you're looking at another 5 years. So I think the party manifesto and other things, because you can be proud of what you've delivered in terms of good governance, being good politics, because you ought to look 5 years ahead. And though that work
intellectual
brainstorming is going on this now.
On green hydrogen specifically, and I would imagine
I'm
that
very optimistic
you
on
would have
that.
had conversations about that.
With everybody,
Yeah.
green hydrogen comes up for a variety of reasons. Green hydrogen today, India is going to be one of the buzz areas, one of the centers of green hydrogen. Foreign investment is coming in, green ammonia production has started. But more than that, for green hydrogen, you need two things. You need to be able to produce good, clean solar energy at a low cost, which we've demonstrated, brought it down from 25 cents to 3 cents. But you need something more. You also need electrolyzer production. And today, anyone who's into that electrolyzer production is in India. I'm very hopeful of green hydrogen. I think all our estimates of 5 million metric tons per annum by 2030 is grossly underestimated. So I think, I just threw you a teaser. So the price of green hydrogen today in India would be around $3. Now just imagine if you can bring it down a little more. Why would India want to be spending $120 billion on fossil fuel import? Just divert some of those resources to green hydrogen and you immediately get a boost to green hydrogen.
Mm-hmm. So, as you look at the conversations that are taking place here, and especially as far as the outlook for 2024 is concerned.
Very positive.
For on India, but I'm talking about...
For oil, very positive. I just met the International Energy Agency chairman.
Yes,
and I'm only echoing partly what he said. I don't like to pass on your exuberance to someone else or my exuberance to someone else, but that's the clinical analysis.
Especially on the renewable side as well.
Yes, absolutely.
No, what I was trying to ask you is that 2023 turned out to be a year of resilience, or at least what was being feared as far as the global economy is concerned. The hard landing didn't take place. As you speak
I would hold judgment on what happened in the global economy for 2023, because what has happened is it was not as hard a landing as was being feared at one point. Yes. Equally, but we're not out of it. Half the world is still in recession. The other half is flirting with it. So, but the India story is very positive, and the India energy story is very positive.
So, what's the one big message that you're leaving with investors here in Davos?
No, I'm not leaving the message. The message is all around. I mean that the Modi ecosystem, I today started calling it the Modi ecosystem, because it's not only the policy decisions that you take, but you deliver good governance, you get good an equation between good governance and good politics, but you also hold out hope, and that is the main story.
Well, I did promise that things would get heated
if talking to me can warm things up, I'm ready. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Puri. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us. That is Minister Hardeep Puri speaking to us here in Davos.
I have to greet my friend, but just give me a minute. I want to warmly embrace you.
You can do that embrace here on CNBC-TV18.
You can do it on anywhere. He's somebody. I mean, I don't think... Rolling Stones concert on Copacabana Beach. Huh?
That's right, I can't forget.
You can't forget. And we took a bet on what they would open.
Minister who knows about as ambassador to Brazil. How are you, Shareen?
Good, Milind.
How are you? You know each other, no?
Of course we know each other.
No. So we had a bet on what they would open with. Both of us thought they would open with Jumping Jack Flash, and we were both proved wrong. So wind me up.
What a fascinating conversation. Hardeep Puri and Milind Deora talking music and rock concerts on CNBC.